episode of Joyful Mate. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher, your Joyful Journey mentor. And today I'm sharing another analogy to help you find more joy and happiness in your lives. This analogy is your mental health garden. I want your mental health to thrive. And as a result of that, we need to make sure we're planting ourselves and our lives in the right environment that enables us to thrive. So just like plants require a certain environment in which they can thrive in, otherwise they wilt or die. And you've probably had this experience yourself in terms of gardening, is planting the wrong plant in the wrong environment. So plants need certain light environments, they need a certain water environment, and they need constant exposure to environmental stresses. But depending on what sort of plant they are, they'll need different levels of light exposure, different levels of water exposure, different levels of stresses from the natural environment. What I mean by stresses, I mean wind. So wind velocity and protection from sun, and also how much water they get, and also the companions that surround plants. So some plants really thrive in having certain other varieties of plants around them that really help nourish them. So, for example, in the forest, the fungi network is a really important part of the forest network. So, when trees pass away or they finish, they move on, they provide a food source via fungi for the living trees and shrubs around them. And so this is why it's really important that we get our garden right. So we plant ourselves in an environment that enables us to thrive. So what does that environment look like? It looks like a work environment that enables you, that brings the best out in you. So you want a work environment that has the people around you that are the right people to really help you thrive. So they provide enough support and challenge in order to get that thrival of you. So you don't want to be in a toxic work environment, because that won't enable you to thrive. So think about your work environment, think about the work you're doing within that work environment. So that's also important, that you're doing work that enables you to grow and enables you to focus on your superpowers. Also, you need to get your light environment right. So we want a workplace that has as much natural light as possible and exposure to the natural environment. So we don't want a heavily regulated work environment, in a sense that we do need stresses, hormetic stresses, such as we do need temperature changes throughout the day. We don't want to be in a constant temperature environment. And we want light changes throughout the day, because just as the natural light changes the amount of blue, amount of yellow, amount of green, red throughout the day, we need that constant change. So we don't want to be under a constant light environment either. So we're going to need to get our light environment right. And the best light environment is the natural light environment, or the closest you can get to it. If you can't get a good natural light environment, what I suggest you do is take your breaks outside so that you do get regular check-ins with the natural light environment. Now, in terms of the social relationships that you have in your life, you want to make sure you're inviting people into your life that help you thrive, that ultimately uh, they provide you enough challenge, enough insights in terms of improvements, and they also support you. So you want to think about the friendship circles that you hang out in. They're also the ones that aren't gossiping and providing negativity. So you really want to monitor that. Obviously, some negativity can be helpful in terms of making you aware of some of the things you might be blinded to, but over negativity, and that's overexposure to media, social media, those sort of things can really create an environment where you struggle, and you will get into a stress response, and you ultimately can't, so you can't thrive when you're struggling to survive. So making sure the environment around you, in terms of what you allow into your mind, is supportive. So what do you want to expose your mind to? Think about that. You want to expose your mind to people that help you grow. They give you insights that enable you to discover areas that you might be a bit blind, or you're in automatic human behavior, or some sort of behavioral response that's not serving you, such as you know a habit around health that's not serving you, or habit around your mental health that's not serving you. So that, people can really make us aware of those behaviors that we're just on autopilot in. So that can be really helpful in terms of enabling us to grow to the next level. The other important thing about us and our social environment and our working environment, that we get that right, but also we want to trim. So just like bushes that grow, when you trim, they then have an acceleration of growth. And so we want to be thinking about trimming our life in a way that enables us to grow. So sometimes we need to focus in on our financial health in order to enable our finances to thrive. And recently, I've done a lot of that because of the rising interest rates and rising costs of living. I've really had a microscope over the finances, and I've really trimmed, and it's really showing in terms of improved cash flow, improved capital growth, and all those sort of aspects of financial management. They've started to improve just because of the focus I put into them last year. So think about your financial health, think about your physical health. I'm also looking constantly as to ways that I can improve my physical and mental health, and set myself up in environments such as, I'm starting to record podcasts more outside these days. As you can see, I'm doing this podcast outside down at Coogee, and it's looking to set up a ideal working environment so that I can thrive ultimately. And how can I spend more time outdoors? I look to run more meetings outside. So I look to do more walk and talks over the phone, and do video conferencing over the phone, but still enable, or still making sure I have a professional presence in a sense that I look professional when I need to be professional, or have a professional setting when I need to be in a professional setting, that's going to obviously help me thrive and grow my work. However, sometimes, people that know you, you can be a bit more casual. So I'm allowing a casual sense in this video recording, but I also do video recordings that are more professional. So you want to think about that in terms of how you can create a work environment that enables your health. You want to constantly think about your diet and how you can improve your diet and tweak it so that you're increasing your energy levels. So the best way to see whether a diet's working is whether your energy's increasing, right? So make experimental changes, and then allow a bit of time for those changes to make an effect in the body, and then make an assessment as to whether they're giving you more energy or not. And constantly look at how you can improve your mental health in terms of the people that you allow into your life, in terms of what you allow yourself to watch, or how how you fill your mind and what you fill your mind with, and allowing quiet time for your mind. So allowing that time to reflect, and that reflection is a great way to trim and grow. So I find a lot of my great ideas come when I'm relaxed in a nice, relaxing setting, like out here in nature. I'm finding that I get great ideas around my business, around my personal life, and how I can grow as a person and thrive. So make sure you look to set up your working environment so that it suits your health. Make sure you look at ways in which you can trim and grow your health. Make sure you look at ways in which you can trim and improve communication so that that improves relationships. And so you want to be constantly looking at the areas that you can trim so that it enables growth financially, physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, in all areas. So think of think of your garden. Have you planted yourself in the right spot, in the right environment to allow yourself to grow? And are you constantly reflecting and trimming so that you can have that accelerated growth after you trim back? So just like after fire goes through a bushlands, then what happens is the rejuvenation process accelerates. It actually helps improve the forest to regenerate and grow in a more orderly fashion. We want to be trimming back our bushes, trimming back our and pruning so that we can thrive and pruning's also pruning back the things that aren't serving you anymore. So pruning back the habits, the behaviors that you're doing that no longer provide fruitful results. So looking at all your habits and behaviors and making sure that they're serving you well and making sure you're prioritizing your time. So look at where you're spending your time is another area which you can look at trim is, am I utilizing my time so that I'm doing the things that are most fulfilling to me? So when you're focusing on priorities that are most fulfilling to you and energize you, then that's when you're going to be thriving. So making sure you're spending your days doing the things that you love and do more of that. So that's it for this episode. I just really wanted to share the analogy around gardening your physical health, gardening your mental health, and having that pruning and trimming, that reflection time so that you can have accelerated growth. So until next time, continue to experience joy and happiness to the ultimate fulfillment by applying the tips that I've shared today. Thank you.